Good evening, and welcome back to another relaxing story of survival. Tonight, we're going to explore what happens when the modern world stops working in an instant. When you're stranded on a winter road with nothing but a dead car and the clothes on your back. We'll walk through the physics of staying warm, the psychology of staying calm, and the small decisions that separate those who see morning from those who don't. Before we begin, tell us in the comments, have you ever been stranded in the cold? What did you do to stay warm? Maybe you were caught in a blizzard, or your heat went out during a winter storm, or you got lost hiking and had to spend a night outside. Share your story with us. We'd love to hear how you made it through. And don't forget to like the video if you enjoy what we do here, and subscribe for more survival stories. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. When the warmth leaves the world. The highway stretches ahead of you like a ribbon of shadow, cutting through the Montana wilderness like a scar across frozen skin. It's late January, the dead heart of winter, and the sky above is the color of steel wool, heavy and oppressive. The mountains to the west are dark silhouettes against the fading light, their peaks lost in low clouds that promise more snow. You're driving home after visiting family 3 counties over, a trip you've made 100 times before. The heater hums its familiar tune. The radio plays soft static between stations, occasionally catching fragments of music or talk shows before dissolving back into white noise. Everything is normal. Everything is routine. And then it isn't. The dashboard lights flicker once. It's subtle, barely noticeable. A brief dimming that could be nothing, could be a loose wire, could be your imagination. Then they flicker again, longer this time, and you feel a flutter of concern in your chest. Something is wrong. The engine stutters, just for a second, then twice, and then it cuts out completely, mid-revolution, as if someone reached into the machinery and flipped a switch. The steering wheel goes stiff in your hands, power steering gone, and the brake pedal hardens under your foot. You coast in eerie silence, momentum carrying you forward for a few hundred feet before the car rolls to a stop on the shoulder, listing slightly toward the ditch. You sit there for a moment, hands still on the wheel, breath caught in your throat, waiting for something to restart, waiting for the familiar rumble of the engine. Nothing does. The silence is absolute. No engine, no radio, no dashboard lights, not even the little electronic chime that tells you the door is open or the keys are in the ignition. The car is completely, utterly dead. You turn the key. Click, click, nothing. Not even the sound of the starter trying to engage. The battery is dead, not drained, not low, dead. Like someone pulled the soul out of the machine and left behind nothing but metal and plastic. You try your phone, your hand moves automatically to your pocket, pulling out the device that's been an extension of your consciousness for years. The screen is black. You press the power button. Nothing. You press it again, holding it down, counting to 10. Still nothing. You plug it into the car charger, even though you know the car has no power. Nothing happens. The phone is a brick of glass and metal, as dead as the car. Outside, the wind picks up. You can hear it now, without the engine noise to mask it. It's a low, mournful sound, like something alive and hunting. Snow begins to fall, thin and dry, the kind that doesn't melt when it touches the ground, the kind that piles up and stays. The temperature's dropping fast. You can feel it through the glass, through the thin metal shell of the car. The residual heat from the engine is already fading. You step out of the car and immediately regret it. The wind hits you like a physical force, cutting through your clothes, finding every gap and seam. You're wearing jeans, a flannel shirt, and a light jacket. It's what you put on this morning when the house was warm and the car was running and everything was fine. It's not nearly enough for this. You look around. The road is empty in both directions. No headlights, no movement, no sound except the wind. You see another car about a quarter-mile ahead, pulled over at an angle across both lanes, its hazard lights dark and silent. Another car behind you, maybe half a mile back, also motionless, also dark. You squint against the wind and count. 3 more cars visible in the distance. All of them stopped. All of them dead. Something happened, something big, something that killed every car on this highway at the exact same moment. You don't know it yet, you can't know it yet, but you've just been caught in the edge of a high-altitude electromagnetic pulse. It could be a solar storm, a massive coronal mass ejection that struck the Earth's magnetic field and sent a cascade of charged particles through the atmosphere. It could be a weapon, detonated in the upper atmosphere, designed to fry electronics without harming people directly. It could be a cascading grid failure, a domino effect of power plants and transformers overloading and sending surge after surge through the infrastructure. The cause doesn't matter. The result is the same. Every circuit within 100 miles is fried. Cars, phones, power lines, traffic lights, everything that depends on delicate electronics is now garbage, and you are alone on a frozen highway with night coming fast. You get back in the car and close the door. The wind rocks the frame slightly, a gentle reminder of how exposed you are. You can already feel the cold creeping in through the seams, through the gaps in the weather stripping, through the thin metal floor. The engine is still warm, but that won't last. The residual heat is bleeding away into the winter air, molecule by molecule. You have maybe an hour before this car becomes a metal coffin, maybe less if the wind keeps up. You need to think. You need to stay calm. And most importantly, you need to stay warm. You close your eyes and take a deep breath. Panic is the enemy. Panic makes you stupid. Panic makes you rush. Panic gets you killed. You open your eyes and look around the interior of the car with new purpose. This is your shelter now. This is your home. You need to take inventory. You need to understand what you have to work with. Chapter 2. The Night That Changed Everything. You sit in the driver's seat and take stock. Your breath fogs in the air now. Visible clouds that dissipate slowly in the stillness. The interior temperature is falling degree by degree. You can feel it in your fingertips, in the tip of your nose, in the cold seeping through the seat into your lower back. The car is already becoming part of the landscape, indistinguishable from the frozen world outside. You think back to the moment it happened. You were listening to the radio, some talk show about politics or sports, or something equally forgettable. The lights died first, then the engine. No sputter, no cough, no warning, just silence. You've had cars break down before. You've had batteries die, alternators fail, fuel pumps give out. But never like this. Never so completely. Never so instantly. And never in a place this empty. You look at the other cars on the road. They're too far away to reach on foot. Not in this weather, but you can see them clearly enough. Dark shapes against the white landscape. You wonder if there are people in those cars. You wonder if they're doing what you're doing right now. Taking inventory, making plans, trying to stay calm. You wonder if they're warm enough. You try to remember what you packed. You weren't planning for a disaster. You were just driving home. A simple trip. 3 hours in good weather. You packed light, but there are things in the car. Random things. The accumulated debris of daily life. You start with what you can see. A gym bag on the passenger seat. You haven't been to the gym in weeks, but the bag is still there, still packed. Inside, there's a pair of athletic shorts, a tank top, a towel, a water bottle. Not much, but something. In the back seat, there's a jacket, heavier than the one you're wearing, a winter coat you keep as a backup. You reach back and grab it, pulling it into your lap. It's thick, insulated, with a hood. Good. That's good. On the floor behind the passenger seat, there's an old blanket. You use it to protect the upholstery when you transport things. It's thin, a little worn, but it's fabric. It's insulation. You grab that too. The glove compartment yields a box of granola bars, the kind you keep for long drives or sudden hunger. You count them. 4 bars. Maybe 800 calories total. Not much, but enough to keep your metabolism running for a few hours. You pop the trunk and step back outside. The wind is worse now, howling across the open highway with nothing to stop it. The snow is falling harder, accumulating on the asphalt, on the hood of the car, on your shoulders and hair. You hurry to the back of the vehicle, every second outside a loss of precious body heat. The trunk is a treasure trove of forgotten items. There's a sleeping bag, the cheap kind you bought for a camping trip 5 years ago and never used again. It's thin, synthetic, probably not rated for anything below 40 degrees, but it's a sleeping bag. It's designed to trap heat. You pull it out. Underneath the sleeping bag, there's a tarp. Blue plastic, maybe 8 feet by 10, folded and tied with bungee cords. You grab it. A bundle of extra bungee cords falls out when you move the tarp. You grab those too. There's a tire iron, a half-empty bag of rock salt left over from last winter, a pair of work gloves stained with grease and dirt, an old sweatshirt with paint stains from when you helped a friend move, a cardboard box that used to hold jumper cables, though the cables themselves are missing. You take everything, all of it. You're not sure what you'll need yet, but you know one thing for certain. Everything has potential. Everything can be used. You carry your haul back to the car and dump it in the back seat. You're already shivering. Your hands are stiff. The cold has found its way through your jacket, through your shirt, onto your skin. You need to work fast. You get back in the car and close the door, lock it. Not because you think anyone is coming, the road is empty. The world is empty. But because locking the door makes you feel safer, more contained, more protected. You need that feeling right now. You spread the sleeping bag across the back seat, unzipping it fully so it lies flat like a blanket. You pull on the winter coat and zip it up to your chin. You put on the work gloves. They're too big, and they smell like motor oil, but they're thick. They're warm. You take the tarp and drape it over the windows, tucking the edges into the door frames to block the drafts. The car is darker now, but it feels smaller. Tighter. More like a cave than a vehicle. That's good. You want it tight. You take stock of your situation. You have insulation. You have layers. You have food and water. You have shelter, albeit a fragile one, but you also have problems. Big problems. The temperature outside is maybe 10 degrees and dropping. With the wind chill, it's probably 20 below. The car has no heat source. The battery is dead. The engine won't run. You can't drive to safety. You can't call for help. You can't do anything except wait and survive. You eat half a granola bar and drink a few sips of water from the bottle in your gym bag. The water is cold enough to make your teeth ache, but you force it down. You need calories. You need hydration. But you also need to ration. You don't know how long this will last. 1 night? 2? A week? You have no way of knowing when help will arrive, or if it will arrive at all. You think about walking. There was a town, maybe 10 miles back the way you came. You remember passing a gas station, a diner, a handful of houses. 10 miles isn't that far. In good weather, you could walk it in 3 hours. But this isn't good weather. The temperature's below zero. The wind is brutal. The snow is accumulating. 10 miles in these conditions, in the dark, with inadequate clothing, is a death sentence. People die trying to walk in weather like this. They get disoriented. They get tired. They lie down to rest, just for a minute, and they never get back up. Hypothermia is insidious. It convinces you that you're fine, that you're warm, that everything is okay, right up until the moment you lose consciousness and die. No, walking is not an option. The car is your shelter. Fragile, cold, but better than nothing. Better than exposure. You'll stay with the car. You'll survive the night here. And in the morning, when the sun rises and the temperature climbs a few degrees, you'll reassess. You'll make a new plan. But for now, for tonight, you stay. You settle into the back seat and wrap yourself in the sleeping bag. It's thin. It's not rated for this kind of cold. But it's something. It's a barrier between you and the frozen air. You pull the edges tight around your shoulders and tuck your knees to your chest, curling into a ball. The wind howls outside. The car creaks and groans, and you close your eyes and begin the long, slow work of staying alive. Chapter 3. The nature of cold. Cold is not a thing. It's the absence of a thing. Heat, energy, motion. When people talk about the cold, what they really mean is the absence of heat, the way they might talk about darkness as the absence of light. The molecules in the air around you are slowing down, vibrating less, carrying less kinetic energy. And your body, your fragile human body, is radiating heat into that void like a small, dying star. You are a furnace, a biological engine running on glucose and fat and protein, burning fuel through a process called cellular respiration to keep your core temperature at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the magic number. The temperature at which your enzymes work optimally, your nerves fire correctly, your heart beats steady and strong. It's the temperature at which you are alive. Drop below that and your body begins to fail. First, the extremities. Your fingers and toes, your ears and nose, the parts of you farthest from your core. Blood vessels constrict, reducing flow to these areas, sacrificing them to preserve the vital organs. Your brain, your heart, your lungs. The things you absolutely need to survive. Drop further and the organs themselves begin to shut down. Your heart rate slows. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your brain, starved of oxygen and warmth, begins to make mistakes. You become confused, disoriented. You start making bad decisions like taking off your jacket because you suddenly feel hot. That's paradoxical undressing, one of the final stages of hypothermia. It happens because your blood vessels, constricted for so long, suddenly dilate, flooding your extremities with the last of your core heat. You feel a rush of warmth, a false spring, and in your confused state you interpret it as being too hot. You undress, you expose yourself, and you die. But you're not there yet, not even close. You're cold, yes, uncomfortable, yes, but you're still thinking clearly, still making rational decisions, still fighting. The cold steals your heat in 3 ways. 3 mechanisms well understood by physics, relentless and impartial. Conduction. You're sitting on a fabric seat, but beneath that fabric is foam, and beneath that foam is a metal frame, and that metal frame is in contact with the frozen ground beneath the car. Heat flows from hot to cold, always, following the gradient like water running downhill. Your body heat flows into the seat, into the foam, into the metal, into the ground. The earth is massive, essentially infinite compared to you, and it drinks your warmth like a vampire, insatiable and endless. Every point of contact is a leak. Every surface you touch is stealing from you. Convection. The air inside the car is still for now, but it won't stay that way. As your body warms the air immediately around you, that warm air rises and cold air sinks to replace it. It's a cycle, a current, invisible but relentless, and every time you move, you disturb that delicate layer of warm air your body has built, breaking it apart, forcing yourself to start over. Moving air is convection. Convection is the enemy. Still, air is insulation. Movement is death. Radiation. Your body emits infrared heat in every direction, constantly, unavoidably. It's the same kind of energy that comes from a fire or the sun, electromagnetic radiation in the infrared spectrum. You can't see it with your eyes, but if you had an infrared camera, you would see yourself glowing, a bright spot in a dark world. That glow is your life force bleeding out into the void, absorbed by the cold air and cold windows and cold metal around you. You are glowing, softly, constantly, and that glow is killing you. Your job, your only job, is to stop the bleeding. You can't generate more heat, not significantly. Your metabolism is what it is. You're already burning as much energy as your body can produce without exercise, and exercise would make you sweat, and sweat would kill you faster than the cold itself. No, you can't make more heat, but you can keep the heat you have. You can plug the leaks. You can build barriers. You can trap air and seal drafts and reflect radiation. You can use physics as a weapon. That's what survival is. Not making fire, not generating warmth from nothing, but stopping the theft, blocking the thief, building walls between you and the void. You lie still in the sleeping bag and think about this. You think about your body as a system, an engine, a machine that needs maintenance. You think about the cold as a problem to solve, not an enemy to fear. And you begin to plan. Chapter 4. The body's quiet. Furnace, you lie still in the back seat and focus on your breathing. Slow and steady, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Each breath fogs in the air. A small cloud of moisture and warmth that drifts upward and vanishes into the darkness above you. Your body is working hard right now, even though you're not moving. Your heart is pumping blood through your arteries, through your capillaries, trying to warm your skin. Your muscles are tensing and relaxing in tiny waves, micro shivers that generate heat through friction. Your liver is metabolizing the granola bar you ate, breaking down carbohydrates into glucose, glucose into ATP, releasing energy in the process. Energy that becomes heat. You're burning calories just by being alive. At rest, in normal conditions, your body burns about 60 to 80 calories per hour. But you're not in normal conditions. You're cold. You're shivering. Your body is working overtime to maintain temperature. You're probably burning 100 calories per hour now, maybe more. But your body is also making choices, hard choices, brutal choices. As the cold presses in, as the temperature drops, your brain receives signals from temperature receptors in your skin. Too cold, danger, conserve heat. And your brain responds. It sends signals to the blood vessels in your extremities. Constrict, reduce blood flow. Sacrifice the edges to save the core. You can feel it happening now. Your fingers are numb inside the gloves. Your toes are tingling. That pins and needles sensation that means circulation is reduced. Your face feels tight and cold, your cheeks stiff. But your chest, your stomach, the deep organs inside you, they're still warm, still fighting, still alive. This is vasoconstriction. It's your body's first line of defense against the cold. By reducing blood flow to the extremities, your body reduces the surface area that's losing heat. It's a calculated sacrifice. Better to lose a few fingers and toes than to lose your heart. Better to get frostbite than to die of hypothermia. You know the stages. You learned them once, maybe in a first aid class, maybe from a documentary, maybe from a book you read years ago. The information is there, buried in your memory, and you pull it up now, examining it, using it. Mild hypothermia. Core temperature drops to 95 degrees. Shivering begins. Intense, uncontrollable shivering. Your muscles clenching and releasing, generating heat through motion. You might feel clumsy, confused. Your speech might slur. But you're still conscious, still capable. Moderate hypothermia. Core temperature drops to 90 degrees. Shivering stops. This is bad. This is very bad. Shivering is your body's way of generating heat, and when it stops, it means your body is running out of energy. Your muscles are exhausted. You become seriously confused. Your movements are slow and labored. You might start feeling warm, paradoxically, as your blood vessels dilate. Severe hypothermia. Core temperature drops below 85 degrees. Loss of consciousness. Cardiac arrest. Death. You're not there yet. Not even close. You're still in the normal range, or maybe just barely into mild hypothermia. But you're moving in that direction, degree by degree, unless you do something. Unless you stop the bleeding. You shift in the sleeping bag and pull it tighter. You tuck your hands under your armpits, pressing them against your ribs where your core temperature is highest. You curl into a ball, knees to chest, head down. You're trying to minimize surface area. The human body has roughly 2 square meters of surface area, give or take. Every square centimeter of exposed skin is radiating heat. The tighter you curl, the less surface area you expose, the less heat you lose. You think about your metabolism, about fuel and energy and the conversion of matter into motion and heat. You ate half a granola bar, maybe 150 calories. Your body is burning that now, converting it into the ATP that powers your cells. But soon that will be gone, and your body will turn to reserves. Fat. You have fat stores. Everyone does. Even thin people have essential, fat, brown, adipose tissue that's specifically designed to generate heat. Your body will burn that fat, breaking it down through lipolysis, releasing fatty acids into your bloodstream, oxidizing them in your mitochondria. It's an efficient process. Fat contains 9 calories per gram, more than twice as much as carbohydrates. You can last a long time on fat alone. Days, maybe weeks if you had to. But fat burning is slow. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and you need to conserve it. You need to make it last. You need to burn as little as possible while still staying warm enough to survive. That means staying still, limiting movement, reducing your metabolic rate as much as you can without slipping into hypothermia. It's a balance, a delicate, fragile balance between burning too much and not burning enough. You close your eyes and focus on that balance. You breathe slowly. You relax your muscles as much as you can while still maintaining the curled position. You try to lower your heart rate, to calm your mind, to enter a state of metabolic conservation. You are a furnace a small, stubborn furnace. And as long as you keep it burning, as long as you keep the heat inside, you will survive. Chapter 5. The First Rule. Dry is life. You shift again in the sleeping bag and feel something wrong, something damp against your back. You reach around and touch your shirt. It's wet, not soaked, but definitely damp. Sweat. This is a problem, a serious problem. You've been shivering, tensing your muscles, generating heat through motion. And in generating heat, you've generated sweat. Your body's cooling mechanism, designed to prevent overheating, has activated at exactly the wrong time. And now that sweat is trapped against your skin, and it's conducting heat away from your body faster than you can make it. Moisture is the enemy. Water conducts heat 25 times faster than air. 25 times. That means a wet shirt pulls heat away from your skin at 25 times the rate of a dry shirt. A wet sleeping bag is worse than no sleeping bag at all. Even a thin layer of sweat, invisible and barely perceptible, can be the difference between survival and hypothermia. You sit up slowly, careful not to disturb the tarp over the windows. You unzip the sleeping bag and let the air circulate. It's cold, painfully cold, but it's necessary. You need to dry yourself. You need to stop the moisture from accumulating. You peel off the winter coat and set it aside, then the flannel shirt. Your skin is damp, clammy, cold. You take the towel from the gym bag and dry yourself, rubbing vigorously, generating a little heat through friction. Your skin is pink and raw when you're done, but it's dry. You examine the flannel shirt. It's damp around the collar and under the arms. You drape it over the front seat to dry. The winter coat is damp too, especially in the lining. You turn it inside out and drape it next to the shirt. You're cold now. Colder without the extra layers, but it's the right move. Better to be cold for a few minutes than to trap moisture against your skin for hours. You put on the tank top from the gym bag. It's dry. It's thin, but it's dry. Then the sweatshirt, also dry. Then you wait, shivering, giving your clothes time to air out. The cold is immediate and brutal without the extra layers, but you endure it. You do jumping jacks in place, small controlled movements to generate heat. Your breath fogs heavily now, and you realize the danger. Every time you breathe out, you're releasing moisture into the air. That moisture is condensing on the cold surfaces around you. The windows, the tarp, the metal frame. And eventually it will condense back onto you. You need to manage this. You need to control the humidity inside the car. Too much moisture and everything becomes damp. Too little and your throat dries out. Your breathing becomes labored. Your body struggles to regulate temperature. You think about the old survival manuals. The ones written by people who lived through Arctic winters, who spent months in snow caves and ice houses. They always talk about moisture management, about airing out sleeping bags, about drying socks and mittens, about never, ever letting yourself stay wet. In extreme cold, moisture is more dangerous than the cold itself, because moisture is insidious. It creeps in slowly, unnoticed, until suddenly your clothes are damp and your body is losing heat and you're shivering uncontrollably and you don't know why. You check the flannel shirt. It's still damp, but less so. You check the coat, the same. You give them more time. You think about sweat, about your body's terrible timing. You were shivering, generating heat, and your body interpreted that as being too hot. So it produced sweat to cool you down. But you weren't too hot. You were cold, dangerously cold. And now you're paying the price for your body's mistake. You need to find a new balance. You need to generate enough heat to stay alive, but not so much that you sweat. You need to stay in that narrow range between too cold and too warm. It's like walking a tightrope. Too far in either direction, and you fall. You put the flannel shirt back on. It's still slightly damp, but it's better than it was. You pull the sleeping bag around yourself again, but you leave it partially unzipped. You need ventilation. You need airflow. You need to prevent the buildup of moisture. You make a mental note. Check yourself every hour. Feel your socks. Feel your sleeves. Feel the collar of your shirt. If anything is damp, stop. Dry it. Air it out. Sacrifice warmth for dryness, because in the cold, dry is life, and wet is death. Chapter 6. Building a Second Skin. You open your eyes. You don't know how long you've been asleep. The darkness is absolute. No way to tell time. No way to distinguish between minutes and hours. The car is colder now, significantly colder. The residual heat from the engine is completely gone. The temperature inside is probably not much warmer than outside. Maybe 5 degrees warmer, maybe less. Your body has stopped shivering. This should worry you, but it doesn't. You're too tired to worry, too cold to care. You just lie there, breathing slowly, trying to conserve energy. And then your brain kicks in. Warning, danger. You've stopped shivering, that's bad. That's moderate hypothermia. You need to do something. Now. You force yourself to move. Your muscles are stiff, reluctant, but you make them obey. You sit up. You flex your fingers and toes. You shake your head, trying to clear the fog from your thoughts. You need more insulation. The sleeping bag isn't enough. The clothes you're wearing aren't enough. You need layers. More layers. You need to trap air between fabrics, to create pockets of stillness where your body heat can collect and hold. You reach for the gym bag and dump out the contents. Athletic shorts, a tank top, a towel. You already used the tank top and towel. What else? You pull on the athletic shorts over your jeans. It looks ridiculous. 2 layers of pants. But ridiculous doesn't matter. Warmth matters. You take the towel and wrap it around your neck like a scarf, tucking the ends into the sweatshirt. Your neck is a major site of heat loss. The carotid arteries run close to the surface there, carrying warm blood from your heart to your brain. If you lose heat from your neck, you lose heat from your blood, and your brain starts to suffer. You take the tank top and tie it around your head, covering your ears. It's not a hat, not really, but it's something. Your ears are thin tissue with poor circulation. They're vulnerable to frostbite, and they radiate heat constantly. Covering them helps. You look at what else you have. The cardboard box from the trunk, the one that used to hold jumper cables. You take it and flatten it out, breaking it along the seams, creating large, flat pieces of cardboard. Cardboard is corrugated. It's full of tiny air pockets, little channels that run along its length. Those air pockets are insulation. Not great insulation, but better than nothing. You take the largest piece of cardboard and fold it into a thick pad. You lay it on the back seat beneath you, creating a barrier between your body and the seat. Between you and the cold metal frame. Between you and the frozen ground. You can feel the difference immediately. The cold isn't seeping up through the seat anymore. The cardboard is blocking conduction, stopping the flow of heat from your body into the earth. You take another piece of cardboard and slide it inside your jacket, against your chest. You take a third piece and slide it against your back. You're building armor, insulation armor. It's stiff and uncomfortable, but it's working. Your core feels warmer already. You remember reading about homeless people in cities, how they survive winter nights. They use cardboard. They line their clothes with newspaper. They stuff their jackets with plastic bags, creating air pockets. They know what you're learning now, that survival is about insulation, about trapping air, about stopping heat loss. You take the plastic bag that the rock salt came in. It's empty now, the salt scattered on the floor of the trunk. You tear the bag open and flatten it out. Plastic is windproof, waterproof. It doesn't breathe, which can be a problem if you're sweating, but right now you're not sweating. Right now, you need to stop the wind. You slide the plastic bag inside your jacket, over the cardboard, creating a vapor barrier. Any moisture your body produces will be trapped against the cardboard and the plastic, not absorbed into your clothes. This is risky. If you generate too much moisture, it will soak your inner layers. But if you don't generate much moisture, it will keep your outer layers dry. You're building a system now, a layering system. Base layer, tank top and flannel shirt, wicking moisture away from your skin. Mid-layer, sweatshirt and winter coat, trapping air and providing insulation. Outer layer, plastic and cardboard, blocking wind and stopping heat loss. You settle back into the sleeping bag. You pull it tight around yourself. You tuck your hands under your armpits again. You curl your knees to your chest. And you wait, breathing slowly, thinking clearly, fighting the cold with nothing but fabric and plastic and paper. You're building a second skin, a skin that doesn't bleed heat, a skin that keeps you alive. Chapter 7. Improvised Armor Against the Wind. The wind is a living thing tonight. It howls and shrieks and batters the car from every direction, a relentless assault that never stops. You can hear it finding the gaps, the seams, the tiny spaces where metal meets rubber, where glass meets frame, where door meets body. Every gap is a wound, and the wind is a predator, probing, testing, searching for a way in. You sit up slowly and inspect your shelter. The tarp is still holding over the windows, weighted down by the bungee cords, but you can see it fluttering slightly in places where drafts are getting through. You can feel those drafts now, thin streams of cold air, invisible but deadly, cutting through your improvised insulation like knives. You need to seal them. Every draft is heat loss. Every draft is calories burned. Every draft brings you closer to hypothermia. You start with the doors. You can feel cold air seeping in at the bottom, where the rubber weather stripping has worn thin or pulled away from the frame. You take the athletic shorts you're not wearing and roll them up, creating a thick tube of fabric. You press this tube against the gap at the bottom of the rear door, stuffing it in tight. It's not perfect, but it helps. The draft is reduced, muted. You do the same with the other door, using the towel, rolling it up and wedging it into the gap. The towel is thicker, more effective. You can barely feel the draft now. You turn your attention to the windows. The tarp is covering them, but the edges are loose in places. You take the bungee cords down and rearrange them, stretching them tighter, pulling the tarp flush against the glass. You loop the cords around the door handles, around the headrests, creating a web of tension that holds the tarp in place. It's better now. The tarp isn't fluttering. The drafts are gone. The car feels quieter, more still, more sealed. You think about wind chill. The temperature outside is maybe 10 degrees, but with the wind, the effective temperature is much lower. Wind strips away the boundary layer of warm air that your body creates on your skin. This boundary layer, a thin film of air warmed by your body heat, is your first line of defense against the cold. Without it, your skin is exposed directly to the cold air and heat loss accelerates. But inside the car, the air is still. You've created a pocket of calm, a shelter within a shelter. As long as you keep the wind out, you keep your boundary layer intact. And as long as your boundary layer holds, you have a chance. You lie back down and pull the sleeping bag over your head, creating a hood. You breathe into the fabric, warming the air inside with your exhalations. It's a trick used by mountaineers and Arctic explorers. By breathing into your sleeping bag, you create a pocket of warm, humid air around your face. The moisture from your breath condenses on the fabric, and the latent heat of condensation warms the air slightly. But you need to be careful. Too much moisture, and you'll soak the sleeping bag. Too much moisture, and you'll turn your insulation into a heat sink. It's a balance like everything else in survival. A little moisture is helpful, too much is deadly. You breathe slowly, carefully, monitoring the humidity. You can feel the air warming around your face. Not much, maybe a degree or two, but every degree matters. The wind roars outside, a constant background noise, like the sound of a waterfall or a highway. It's almost soothing, in a strange way. A reminder that you're inside, protected, sealed away from the worst of it. But the wind is patient. The wind is relentless. And you know that every hour, every minute, it's stealing heat from the car, from the metal frame, from the glass, from the air inside. The temperature is still dropping, slowly but inevitably. You close your eyes and focus on staying still, on conserving energy, on letting your body do its work. The wind howls, the car shudders, but you're inside, you're sealed, you're holding. Chapter 8. The ground is a thief. You wake up shivering again. Hard, violent shivers that shake your whole body, rattling your teeth, clenching your muscles. Your jaw aches from the tension. Your back is cramping. Every muscle in your body is contracting and releasing, trying to generate heat through motion. This is a good sign. It means you're still in the mild hypothermia range. It means your body is still fighting. But it's also exhausting. Shivering burns calories fast. Maybe 200 calories per hour. Maybe more. And you only have so many calories left. You need to find the source of the heat loss. You've sealed the drafts. You've added layers. So where is the cold coming from? And then you realize. The ground. You're lying on cardboard, yes, but beneath the cardboard is the seat, and beneath the seat is the metal frame, and beneath the frame is the frozen ground. The earth is maybe 20 degrees, maybe colder, and it's massive. Essentially infinite. A heat sink with unlimited capacity. Heat flows from hot to cold. Always. It's thermodynamics. It's inevitable. Your body heat is flowing downward through the sleeping bag, through your clothes, through the cardboard, through the seat, through the metal, into the ground. The ground is drinking your warmth like a vampire, insatiable and endless. You need more elevation, more separation. You need to break that conduction path completely. You sit up and look around in the darkness. What else can you use? You've already used the cardboard. What else? The gym bag itself. It's thick fabric, padded slightly. You take it and place it on top of the cardboard. Then you lie on top of the gym bag. It's lumpy and uncomfortable, but it's better. Another layer between you and the cold. The empty rock salt bag. You saved it, folded it up, stuffed it in the corner. You pull it out now and add it to the pile. More layers, more air pockets, more insulation. The sweatshirt that was drying on the front seat. It's dry now, or dry enough. You don't need to wear it because you're already wearing the winter coat. So you add it to the pile beneath you. Another barrier between your body and the ground. You're building a nest now. A mattress, made of garbage and improvisation. It's 6 inches thick, maybe more. Cardboard and fabric and plastic, all layered and compressed. You lie down on your nest. The difference is immediate and dramatic. The cold isn't seeping up through the seat anymore. The heat isn't draining out of your body into the earth. You can feel your back warming, your hips warming, the parts of you that were pressed against the cold. You think about the old survival manuals again, the ones that talk about sleeping on frozen ground. They always emphasize insulation from below. A sleeping bag rated for 0 degrees is useless if you're lying directly on ice or snow. The compression of the bag beneath your body weight squeezes out all the air pockets, eliminating the insulation. You need something beneath you that doesn't compress. Foam, inflatable pads, pine boughs, dry leaves. You don't have foam or inflatable pads, but you have what you have. And what you have is enough. You adjust the pile, shifting the gym bag under your hips, the sweatshirt under your shoulders. You're off the seat now, elevated, suspended on a nest of improvised padding. It's not comfortable. Your back is twisted slightly. There's a lump under your left shoulder blade. But comfort isn't the goal. Survival is the goal. You lie back down and pull the sleeping bag tight around yourself. The shivering slows. Not stops, but slows. Your muscles relax slightly, you breathe, and you hold. Chapter 9. A Shelter. Made from whatever the world left behind. You can't stay like this forever. You know this. The cold is seeping in, slow but relentless, finding new paths, new routes, new ways to steal your heat. The insulation you've built is helping, but it's not enough. The space inside the car is too big, too much volume. Your body is trying to warm the entire interior, and it can't. You're losing the battle. You need to make the space smaller, much smaller. You sit up slowly and look at the interior of the car with new eyes. The back seat where you're lying. The front seats. The footwells, the space above you. Empty air stretching up to the roof. It's all volume. Cubic feet of air that your body is trying to heat and failing. You start moving with purpose now. You take the sleeping bag and drape it over the front seats, creating a curtain, a barrier between the front and back of the car. The sleeping bag hangs down like a theater curtain, touching the floor, sealing off the rear compartment. You take the tarp and drape it over the sleeping bag, adding another layer, creating a thicker barrier. 2 layers of fabric, trapping air between them. The front of the car is gone now, sealed away, separated. You're creating a room within a room. You use the bungee cords to hold everything in place, looping them around headrests and seat adjustment levers, creating tension, keeping the curtain taut. Now the back seat is a cave. A small, dark cave with you inside. The space is maybe 4 feet long and 3 feet wide, and 3 feet high. Maybe 36 cubic feet total. Tight, claustrophobic. You can barely move. You can't sit up. You can't roll over easily. But it's small, and small is good. Small means your body can actually warm the space. You think about debris huts. The survival shelters you've read about, made from branches and leaves and forest floor debris. The principle is always the same. Build a space just big enough for your body, then bury it in insulation. The insulation traps air. The air traps heat. Your body warms the space, and the space, in turn, helps keep you warm. It's a feedback loop, fragile but functional. You're doing the same thing now. You've created a small chamber and insulated it with fabric and plastic. It's not buried in leaves, but the principle is the same. You lie down in your cave. You can barely move. You can't sit up. You have to lie on your side, curled in a fetal position, knees pulled up, arms tucked in. But you can breathe. And you can already feel the difference. The air around you is warming. Not much, not quickly, but warming. The temperature in your little cave is maybe 5 degrees warmer than the rest of the car. 5 degrees warmer than the outside. And that 5 degrees is everything. You close your eyes and breathe. Slow and steady. Your breath warms the air. The warm air is trapped by the curtain. The temperature rises another degree. Then another. It's working. Your microclimate is working. You think about the physics of it. Heat capacity. Thermal mass. The amount of energy required to raise the temperature of a substance. Air has very low heat capacity. It doesn't take much energy to warm air. But air also doesn't hold heat well. It loses it quickly through radiation and convection. But in a small space, with barriers to prevent convection, with insulation to reduce radiation, air becomes manageable. You can warm it, you can hold it, you can create a pocket of survivable temperature. You're not warm, not even close. But you're warmer, and warmer is winning. Chapter 10. Breathing. Warmth into a small space. The cave is dark. Completely, absolutely dark. You can't see your hand in front of your face. You can't see the fabric of the sleeping bag curtain inches from your nose. You're suspended in blackness, in a void, with only your other senses to guide you. But you can feel. You can feel the air around you, thick and still and slowly, incrementally warming. You can feel the fabric of the sleeping bag against your face, soft and slightly damp from your breath. You can feel your body heat radiating outward, molecule by molecule, degree by degree, filling this small space with life. You breathe in through your nose. The air is cold at first, always cold, but as it passes through your nasal passages, your body warms it. The mucous membranes in your nose are rich with blood vessels, and they transfer heat to the incoming air. By the time the air reaches the back of your throat, it's closer to body temperature. By the time it reaches your lungs, it's 98 degrees. You breathe out through your mouth, warm, moist air that rises slightly, drifting upward, trapped by the sleeping bag curtain and the tarp. The warm air can't escape. It's contained, held in this small volume around your body. You're building a microclimate, a pocket of warmth in a frozen world. It's fragile. It depends entirely on your body, on your metabolism, on your continued ability to generate heat. But it's working. You think about thermodynamics again, about heat transfer and entropy in the second law. Heat flows from hot to cold. Always. It's as inevitable as time. But you can slow that flow. You can create barriers. You can trap air and still that air and force the heat to stay. The air in your cave is maybe 55 degrees now, maybe 60. It's hard to tell without a thermometer, impossible to measure except by feel. But it's warmer than it was, warmer than the air outside your cave, warmer than the air in the rest of the car. And that difference, that tiny gradient, is keeping you alive. You shift slightly and feel condensation on the inside of the sleeping bag curtain. Moisture. Your breath is creating moisture. The warm air from your lungs is hitting the cold fabric and condensing, forming tiny droplets of water. This is both good and bad. Good because condensation releases heat. When water vapor condenses into liquid water, it releases energy, the latent heat of vaporization. That heat warms the fabric slightly, which warms the air slightly, which keeps you slightly warmer. Bad because too much condensation will soak the sleeping bag, and a wet sleeping bag is worse than no sleeping bag at all. You need to monitor this. You need to check the fabric every so often, feel for dampness, control the humidity. Too dry and your throat becomes parched, your breathing labored. Too wet and your insulation fails. It's a balance. Everything in survival is a balance. You breathe slowly, carefully, monitoring the humidity in your cave. You can feel the air warming around your face. Not much. Maybe a degree every 10 minutes. Maybe less. But steady, incremental, building. You think about saunas, about how a small wooden room can be heated to 200 degrees with nothing but hot rocks and steam. The principle is the same. Small space, good insulation, contained heat. You're not trying to create a sauna. You're trying to create something much more modest, a space that's merely survivable, a space that's above freezing, above the point where your body starts to fail. You close your eyes, though in this darkness it makes no difference whether your eyes are open or closed. You focus on your breathing, in and out, slow and steady. You're not just breathing to stay alive, you're breathing to stay warm. Every breath is a tiny contribution to the microclimate you've built. Every exhalation adds a bit of warmth, a bit of moisture, a bit of humanity to this small pocket of air. The wind howls outside, muted now by the layers of fabric and metal and air. The car creaks occasionally, settling in the cold. But inside your cave, everything is still. And in that stillness, you find warmth. Not much. Never enough. But enough to continue. Enough to survive. Chapter 11. Reflecting Heat. Back to the heart. You lie in your cave and remember something. A detail from a camping trip, or maybe a survival documentary, or maybe just something you read once and filed away. Heat radiates. Your body emits infrared energy constantly, invisible waves of warmth that spread out in every direction, absorbed by everything they touch. Most of that heat is lost. It hits the fabric of your clothes, the walls of your cave, the cold air around you, and it's absorbed, dissipated, gone forever. Your body generates heat, and the universe swallows it. But some materials don't absorb infrared radiation. They reflect it. Shiny materials. Metallic materials. Materials with low emissivity. You don't have an emergency blanket. Those shiny mylar sheets that look like giant candy wrappers. But you have other things. You have the foil wrapper from the granola bar. You have the gym bag with its metallized interior lining. You have, somewhere in the car, a chrome trim piece, a piece of reflective plastic, something that might work. You sit up carefully, disturbing your cave as little as possible. You reach into the darkness and find the gym bag. You've been using it as part of your mattress, but it has another use. You turn it inside out, exposing the interior lining. It's silver, reflective, made of some synthetic material coated with a thin layer of metal. You drape this over yourself like a blanket, silver side facing inward toward your body. The effect is subtle, but real. You can feel it almost immediately. The heat radiating from your body is bouncing back, reflected by the metallic surface, returning to your skin instead of disappearing into the void. It's not much. Maybe it raises your skin temperature by a degree, maybe 2. But a degree or 2 can be the difference between mild hypothermia and moderate hypothermia, between survival and failure. You take the foil wrappers from the granola bars and smooth them out with your fingers. They're crinkled and torn, but they still have that metallic sheen. You tuck them under your shirt against your chest, directly over your heart. The heat from your core, from the blood pumping through your chest, radiates outward. The foil reflects some of that heat back. You press one wrapper against the back of your neck, tucking it into your collar. Your neck is critical. The carotid arteries run close to the surface there, carrying warm blood from your heart to your brain. If you lose heat from your neck, the blood cools, and your brain suffers. By reflecting heat back to your neck, you keep that blood warmer, keep your brain functioning better. You think about thermoses, about how a vacuum flask works. A thermos has 2 walls, with a vacuum between them. The vacuum prevents conduction and convection, but it also has a reflective coating on the inner wall, That coating prevents radiative heat loss. The heat from your coffee or soup is reflected back, trapped inside, unable to escape. You're doing the same thing now. You're turning your body into a thermos. The layers of clothing prevent conduction and convection. The reflective materials prevent radiation. You're plugging every leak, blocking every path of heat loss. You take one more foil wrapper and press it against your lower back. Your kidneys are there, and they're working hard, filtering blood, generating metabolic heat. By reflecting that heat back, you help your kidneys work more efficiently. You lie back down, careful not to dislodge the foil. You pull the silver-lined gym bag over yourself like a shawl. You're wrapped in layers now. Fabric and plastic and cardboard and metal. Each layer serving a purpose. Each layer fighting the cold in a different way. The cold is still out there. The wind is still howling. But you're reflecting your warmth back to yourself, refusing to let it bleed into the void. You're holding the line, inch by inch, degree by degree. Chapter 12. The Water Warmth Trick. You reach for the water bottle in the darkness. Your hand fumbles for a moment, searching, then closes around the familiar shape. Plastic. Half full. The water inside is cold, almost painfully cold. You can feel the chill through the bottle, through your gloves. But cold water can become warm water, and warm water can become a heat source. You hold the bottle against your chest for a moment, feeling the cold radiating through your layers. Then you make a decision. You unzip your jacket slightly and tuck the bottle inside, pressing it against your ribs, against your stomach, where your core temperature is highest. It's uncomfortable at first. The cold plastic steals heat aggressively, creating a spot of intense cold against your skin. Your body recoils from it instinctively, but you force yourself to hold still, to endure the discomfort. This is an investment. You're spending heat now to store it for later. Because water, you remember from some half-forgotten science class, has a high specific heat capacity. It takes a lot of energy to warm water, but once water is warm, it holds that heat for a long time, much longer than air, much longer than most materials. You breathe slowly and wait. 5 minutes, 10, 15. Gradually, incrementally, you feel the water warming. Not hot, not even warm by any normal standard, but less cold. Your body heat is transferring into the water, raising its temperature degree by degree. The bottle is no longer painful against your skin. It's merely cool. Then neutral, then faintly warm. You move the bottle from your stomach to your armpit, tucking it into that warm hollow where your arm meets your torso. More heat transfer. More warming. The water temperature climbs. 20 minutes pass, maybe 30. Time is meaningless in this darkness, but you can feel the change. The bottle is warm now. Not hot, but body temperature may be a little less. 90 degrees, 95. You remove the bottle from your armpit and move it down to your lap, pressing it against your thighs. Then lower, down to your feet, tucked into the sleeping bag near your toes. Your feet are the coldest part of you, the most vulnerable to frostbite. The warmth from the bottle spreads slowly, gently, like a slow tide. It's not much. It's not like holding your feet up to a fire. But it takes the edge off the numbness. It brings a little life back into your toes. And that life is precious. Later, you'll drink the water. It will be body temperature by then, easy to digest, non-shocking to your system. Drinking ice-cold water when you're hypothermic is dangerous. It forces your body to expend energy warming the water internally, energy you can't afford to waste. But water that's already warm, that's already close to body temperature, costs almost nothing to process. And you need water, desperately. Dehydration is insidious in cold weather. You don't feel thirsty the way you do in heat, but you're still losing water through respiration, through the moisture in your breath. Your blood is thickening slightly, becoming more viscous, harder for your heart to pump, harder for your body to circulate warmth. But for now, the bottle is a heater, a portable heat source that costs nothing except the calories you were already burning to stay warm. You've created warmth from nothing, just by understanding heat transfer and being patient. You close your eyes and press the bottle against your stomach again, cycling the warmth through your core, keeping your organs warm, keeping your metabolism running. It's a small victory, a tiny triumph over the cold. But victories matter. Hope matters. The belief that you can outsmart the cold, that you can survive through ingenuity and physics, matters more than you can measure. You hold the warm bottle and breathe, and you continue. Chapter 13. Cardboard, Cloth, and Human Ingenuity. You wake up shivering again. You don't remember falling asleep, but you must have. Time is slipping away from you, becoming fluid and meaningless. You could have slept for minutes or hours. There's no way to know. The cold has found you again. It's crept back in through some path you hadn't considered, some leak you hadn't plugged. Your back is cold, your shoulders are cold. The warmth you'd built in your cave has dissipated slightly, stolen away by the relentless thermodynamics of heat loss. You need to move. But moving means disturbing the careful balance you've created, breaking the microclimate, letting cold air in. It's a risk. But staying still while getting colder is a greater risk. You shift slowly, carefully, flexing your muscles without changing position much. You clench your fists inside the gloves. You tense your thighs. You roll your shoulders in, tiny circles. Small, controlled movements that generate heat through muscle contraction, through the chemical energy of ATP being converted to mechanical energy and ultimately to warmth. The shivering slows. Your mind clears slightly. You think about what else you can use. What else is in the car that you haven't employed yet? The cardboard box. You used pieces of it for your mattress, but there are more pieces. Flaps and sides and corners that you flattened out and set aside. You reach into the darkness and find them, your hands searching blindly until they close on the familiar texture of corrugated cardboard. Cardboard is underrated. It's garbage, disposable, something people throw away without thought. But it's also engineering. Those tiny, corrugated channels running along its length are air pockets, trapped spaces where air sits still. And still, air is insulation. You take a large piece of cardboard and press it against your chest, inside your jacket, another piece against your back. You're building layers again, adding insulation in strategic places where heat loss is greatest. You take smaller pieces and wrap them around your forearms, tucking them inside your sleeves. Your wrists are vulnerable. The radial artery runs close to the surface there, and it's easy to lose heat through your wrists. By insulating them, you keep your blood warmer as it returns from your hands to your heart. You look ridiculous. You know this even without being able to see yourself. You're wearing cardboard armor, like some strange post-apocalyptic knight. But ridiculous doesn't matter. Warmth matters, survival matters. You think about the people who've survived worse than this. The homeless in northern cities sleeping in doorways and under bridges in sub-zero weather. They use cardboard. They line their clothes with newspaper. They stuff their jackets with plastic bags and bubble wrap. They know, through hard experience, what works. They know that cardboard is free and abundant and effective. You think about the urban explorers and squatters you've read about, the ones who survive in abandoned buildings with no heat. They create nests, elaborate constructions of cardboard and fabric and foam, layer upon layer, creating cocoons that trap their body heat and keep them alive through winter. You're doing the same thing now. You're building a nest, a cocoon, a survival system made from garbage and desperation and human ingenuity. You find more pieces of cardboard and stuff them into the gaps in your cave, filling spaces where you can feel cold air, creating extra layers of insulation. You take the empty plastic bag from the rock salt and spread it over yourself like a blanket. Plastic is windproof. It traps air. It reflects a little bit of radiant heat. You're layering everything now. Fabric and cardboard and plastic and foil, all stacked and arranged and positioned to create the maximum amount of insulation with the minimum amount of material. And it works. You can feel it working. The cold is pushed back slightly. The warmth returns. Not much, never much, but enough, always just barely enough. You settle back into your nest, into your cave, into your improvised survival system. You're not comfortable. Your back hurts from the lumpy mattress. Your neck is kinked. Your legs are cramped from being curled up for so long. But you're alive. And as long as you're alive, you're winning. Chapter 14. The quiet physics of sharing warmth. You're alone in the car. But you think about what you would do if you weren't. If there were 2 people here, or 3 or more, how survival would be different. How the equation would change. You would huddle. It's the most primitive survival strategy there is. Older than fire, older than tools. Animals do it. Penguins huddle in groups of thousands, rotating from the cold outer edge to the warm inner core. Each penguin taking its turn in the relative warmth of the center. Wolves sleep in piles, bodies pressed together, sharing warmth through the long Arctic night. Puppies cluster around their mother, stealing heat from her body and from each other. Humans are no different. We're social animals. We survive together. 2 people in one sleeping bag stay warmer than 2 people in separate bags. It's not just about sharing body heat, though that's part of it. It's about reducing the total surface area exposed to the cold. Imagine 2 people lying separately. Each person has roughly 2 square meters of surface area. Together, they have 4 square meters radiating heat into the environment. But if they huddle together, if they press close, they overlap. The total exposed surface area is maybe 3 square meters, maybe less. That's a 25% reduction in heat loss. That's the difference between survival and hypothermia. You think about the mountaineers who've survived unexpected nights on exposed ridges. They huddle. They share sleeping bags. They press back to back, sharing warmth through their clothes, through their bodies. They survive because they understand that together, they're warmer than apart. You think about the disaster survivors who've been trapped in collapsed buildings or stranded vehicles. The ones who lived did so, in part, because they huddled. They kept each other warm. They kept each other awake. They kept each other fighting. But you're alone. So you improvise. You become your own huddle, your own cluster, your own pile of puppies. You curl into the tightest ball you can manage. Knees pulled up to your chest, arms wrapped around your legs, head tucked down. You're minimizing your surface area, reducing the amount of skin exposed to the cold air. The human body in this position, fully curled, has maybe half the surface area of a body lying stretched out. Half the surface area means half the heat loss. It's simple geometry, it's physics, and it works. You press your hands against your chest, palms flat against your ribs. You tuck your face down toward your knees. You curl tighter, smaller, more compact. You're making yourself into a ball, into a sphere, which is the shape with the minimum surface area for a given volume. You think about the fetal position, how fetuses curl up in the womb, knees to chest, arms pulled in. It's the first position humans assume, and it's the position we return to in times of cold or fear or pain. There's wisdom in that instinct. You hold this position for long minutes. Your muscles ache from the tension, from the sustained contraction, but the position is working. You can feel yourself warming slightly, your body heat contained, concentrated, held close to your core. If you had another person here, you would share this. You would lie back to back, sharing the warmth of your cores, reducing the surface area even further. You wouldn't even need to face each other, wouldn't need to embrace or hold hands. Just the contact, just the shared warmth would be enough. But alone, you hold yourself. You become both the warmer and the warmed. You cycle your own heat through your own body, keeping it close, refusing to let it escape. The hours pass, you drift in and out of consciousness. Not quite sleeping, but not quite awake. Your body is working hard, burning calories, generating heat. You're tired, exhausted, but you're alive, and alive is all that matters. Chapter 15. What happens when the mind gets cold? You wake up confused, disoriented. You don't know where you are at first. The darkness is absolute, and for a moment you panic, thinking you're blind, thinking something has happened to your eyes. Then, memory returns. The car, the cold, the survival. You try to remember what time it is, but you can't. You try to remember how long you've been here, but that knowledge slips away like water through your fingers. Hours, days? It feels like days, but it can't be. Can it? Your thoughts are slow, sluggish, like trying to think through mud, through molasses. Simple concepts take effort. Complex thoughts are beyond you. This is dangerous. This is very dangerous. This is your brain telling you that it's cold, that it's not getting enough oxygen or glucose or warmth. This is hypothermia. You force yourself to focus. You concentrate on simple things, your name, where you are, why you're here. The facts come slowly, reluctantly, but they come. You're in your car, on a highway, in Montana. There was an EMP. The car died. You're trying to survive until morning. Good, that's good. You're still thinking clearly enough to remember the basics. But you need to stay alert, you need to monitor yourself, because hypothermia is insidious. It creeps up slowly, stealing your mind degree by degree until you can't think clearly enough to recognize that you're dying. You know the signs. You learned them once and you force yourself to recite them now, slowly, carefully, using the effort of remembering to keep your mind active. Confusion, slurred speech, loss of coordination, drowsiness. Those are the warning signs of moderate hypothermia. You test yourself. You flex your fingers. They respond, though slowly. You wiggle your toes. They move, though you can barely feel them. You try to speak, actually speak out loud, forming words with your mouth. I'm okay. Your voice sounds strange in the darkness, rough and dry, but the words are clear, not slurred. Good. You're still in control, but you need to be careful. You need to keep checking. Because if you slip further, if you move from mild hypothermia to moderate, you might not realize it. You might start feeling warm, comfortable, peaceful. That's paradoxical undressing, the final stage before death. People freeze to death thinking they're too hot. They take off their clothes, they leave their shelters. They're found later, partially undressed, confused, dead. You will not let that happen. You sit up, breaking apart your cave, letting cold air rush in. You need to move. You need to generate heat. You need to fight off the drowsiness, the confusion, the seductive pull of sleep. You do exercises, small, controlled movements. You clench and release your fists. You tense your thighs. You rotate your shoulders. You're generating heat through muscle contraction, through the conversion of chemical energy to mechanical energy to thermal energy. Your heart rate increases. Your breathing deepens. You can feel your mind clearing slightly, the fog lifting just a bit. Better. That's better. You reach for the granola bars. You have 2 left. You eat 1, slowly, chewing carefully, concentrating on the act of eating. Your mouth is dry. The granola tastes like sawdust. But you force it down. You need the calories. Your metabolism needs fuel. Your brain needs glucose. You drink a few sips of water from the bottle. The water is body temperature now, warmed by hours against your chest. It goes down easily, soothing your dry throat. You feel better after eating, more alert, more present. Food is life. Calories are survival. You talk to yourself, out loud. Just simple sentences. I'm doing well. I'm staying warm. I'm going to make it. Hearing your own voice helps. It grounds you in reality. It reminds you that you're still thinking, still functioning, still human. The cold wants you to give up. It wants you to lie down, to stop fighting, to let go and slip away. But you won't, you can't. You have people waiting for you. You have a life to get back to. You have too much to live for to die in a frozen car on an empty highway. You rebuild your cave. You lie back down in your nest. But you stay alert now. You check in with yourself every few minutes. Fingers? Check. Toes? Check. Thoughts? Clear enough. You're monitoring your own decline, watching for the signs, ready to act if you start slipping. The night is not over yet, but you're still here, still fighting, still thinking, and as long as you're thinking, you're surviving. Chapter 16, The Longest Night. The hours stretch out like dark water, endless and featureless. You can't see the time. You can't see anything. The windows are completely frosted over now, opaque with ice crystals that have formed on the inside of the glass. The world outside could be any time, any place. Dawn could be minutes away, or hours. There's no way to tell. You're suspended in a pocket of darkness, alone with your breath and your heartbeat, and the slow, steady work of staying alive. You listen to the wind. It's different now, softer. The howling has faded to a steady whisper. The storm is passing, moving east, leaving you behind. Or maybe you're just too tired to hear it properly anymore. Maybe your senses are dulling, your body shutting down non-essential functions to conserve energy. You check yourself. Fingers? You can move them. Toes? They respond, though you can barely feel them. Thoughts? Slow, but present. You're okay. You're still okay. Everything sounds muted now, distant, like you're underwater. Like there's a layer of cotton wool between you and the world. It's not an unpleasant feeling. It's almost peaceful, actually. Almost comfortable. No, wait, that's wrong. That's dangerous thinking. Comfortable means warm. And you're not warm, you're cold, very cold. If you feel comfortable, if you feel peaceful, that means your body is giving up. That means you're slipping. You force yourself to move. Small movements. Flexing, tensing, fighting off the drowsiness, the seductive pull of sleep. Sleep is dangerous. Sleep is too close to death. You need to stay conscious, stay alert. You think about home, about warmth, about the small ordinary comforts you took for granted just yesterday. A hot shower with steam fogging the mirror. A blanket straight from the dryer, warm and soft and smelling like fabric softener. A cup of tea steaming in your hands, warming your palms, warming your chest as you drink it. You think about summer, about heat, about sweating and complaining about the temperature and longing for winter. The irony is not lost on you. Yesterday, or last week, or whenever it was that the world was normal, you might have complained about being cold, a draft in the house, a broken heater in your car. Not cold like this, not life-threatening cold, but cold enough to complain about. You would give anything to experience that kind of cold again. The kind of cold that's solved by putting on a sweater. The kind of cold that's an inconvenience, not a crisis. You think about the people who love you. You imagine their faces. Your family, your friends. The people who are probably worried about you right now, wondering where you are, why you haven't called, why you haven't come home. You imagine what they'd say if they could see you now. They'd tell you to hold on. They'd tell you you're strong. They'd tell you morning is coming, that the sun is rising somewhere beyond the frost, beyond the darkness, beyond the cold. And it is. You know it is. The earth is still spinning. Time is still passing. Somewhere over the curve of the planet, the sun is climbing into the sky. And it's moving toward you, slowly, inexorably, bringing light and warmth and the promise of survival. You just have to hold on, just a little longer. You breathe, in and out, slow and steady. You focus on the rhythm of it, the constancy. Breathing becomes a meditation, a mantra. Each breath is a small victory. Each breath is proof that you're still alive, still fighting, still refusing to give up. The car is silent except for your breathing and the faint creak of metal settling in the cold. You feel the darkness pressing against your cave from every direction, heavy and oppressive. But inside, in the tiny space you've carved out, there's warmth, fragile, precious, barely enough, but enough. You close your eyes, though in this darkness, it makes no difference. Not to sleep, not really, just to rest, just to conserve energy, just to wait for morning, the longest night, but not the last night, not if you can help it. You're still here, still breathing, still surviving, and that's enough. Chapter 17. Keeping the furnace fed. You wake up hungry. Not just hungry, ravenous. Your stomach is cramping with hunger, twisting and growling, demanding food. Your body is screaming for fuel, for calories, for energy to burn. You've been fighting the cold for hours now, and that fight has a cost. A steep cost measured in calories and stored fat and the slow depletion of your reserves. You reach for the glove compartment and find the last granola bar. Your hands shake as you unwrap it. The wrapper crinkles loudly in the silence, and the sound is almost startling after so much quiet. You eat the bar slowly, forcing yourself to chew thoroughly, to savor every bite, to extract every possible calorie from this small amount of food. The granola tastes incredible. It's just processed oats and honey and maybe some nuts. Nothing special. The same bar you've eaten 100 times before without thought. But now it tastes like the best meal you've ever had. Your body recognizes it for what it is. Life, energy, survival. You think about metabolism, about the complex series of chemical reactions that converts food into heat and motion and thought. The granola bar will be broken down in your stomach and intestines, converted into glucose molecules that enter your bloodstream. Those glucose molecules will be absorbed by your cells, pulled into your mitochondria, run through the Krebs cycle and the electron transport chain, converted into ATP. And that ATP, that molecular battery, will power everything. Your heartbeat, your breathing, your shivering, your thinking, and most importantly, your heat generation. At rest, your body burns about 60 to 80 calories an hour. But you're not at rest. You're cold. You're shivering. Your body is working overtime to maintain temperature, to keep your core at 98.6 degrees. You're probably burning 150 calories an hour now. Maybe 200. Do the math. You've been in the car for maybe 8 hours, maybe 10. That's 1,200 to 2,000 calories burned. And you've only eaten 3 granola bars, maybe 600 calories total. You're running a massive caloric deficit. Your body has been burning through its reserves. First the glucose in your blood, then the glycogen stored in your liver and muscles, and now it's burning fat. Lipolysis, the breakdown of adipose tissue. Your body is converting fat into fatty acids, oxidizing them, extracting energy. It's an efficient process. Fat contains 9 calories per gram, more than twice as much as carbohydrates or protein. You have pounds of fat stored on your body. Reserves that can keep you alive for days, maybe weeks if you're careful. But fat burning is slow. It takes time, it requires oxygen, and it produces ketones as a byproduct, which can make you feel weak and nauseous if the levels get too high. Still, it's enough. You have enough fat to last through the night, through tomorrow if you have to, through several days if it comes to that. But food is better. Food is easier. Food digests faster, provides quicker energy, and generates heat as a side effect. It's called the thermic effect of food. About 10% of the calories you consume are burned just in the process of digestion. Eating makes you warmer, literally, as your digestive system works to break down nutrients. You think about what else you have. You check the car again, searching in the darkness by feel. There's nothing. No forgotten granola bars. No mints in the center console. No emergency rations hidden in the glove box. You've eaten everything. So you drink water instead. You take the bottle and drink several long swallows. The water is lukewarm now, comfortable, easy to drink. And you need it. Desperately. Dehydration is insidious in cold weather. You don't feel thirsty the way you do in heat. There's no sweat, no obvious loss of fluids. But you're still losing water through respiration, through the moisture in every breath you exhale. Your blood is slowly thickening, becoming more viscous, harder for your heart to pump. Thick blood means poor circulation. Poor circulation means reduced heat distribution. Your core might be generating enough warmth, but that warmth isn't reaching your extremities as efficiently. Your fingers and toes suffer first. But more than that, dehydration affects your mind. Your brain is 70% water. When you're dehydrated, even slightly, your cognitive function declines. Your thoughts become slower, more confused. Your decision-making suffers. And in a survival situation, bad decisions can kill you. So you drink. You force yourself to drink even though you're not thirsty. You treat it like medicine, like a necessary intervention. And you feel better afterward, more alert, more present. You think about how long you can last. You have no more food. But you have water, maybe half a bottle left. You have body fat. You have the strength to continue generating heat. You can last another night if you have to. Maybe 2, but you won't have to. You know this. Morning is coming. You can feel it now, even though you can't see it. The darkness is different. The quality of the silence has changed. The night is ending. You just need to hold on a little longer. Feed the furnace with what remains, keep the fire burning, and survive. Chapter 18. When dawn finally arrives, you don't see the dawn at first. The windows are too frosted, too opaque with ice, but you feel it. The cold eases, just slightly, just barely perceptibly. The temperature is rising, not much, maybe a degree or two. But after a night of relentless cold, even a single degree feels like salvation. The darkness lifts. It's subtle at first. The black becomes dark gray, then lighter gray. You can see shapes now, vague outlines. The inside of your cave, the sleeping bag curtain, your own hands in front of your face. Light is filtering through the frost on the windshield. Pale, diffuse light. Dawn light. The most beautiful light you've ever seen. You've survived the night. The realization hits you slowly, then all at once. You survived. Through the cold and the darkness and the terrible isolation, you survived. You're alive. You made it to morning. You want to cry, but your eyes are too dry. You want to shout, but your throat is too parched. So you just lie there for a moment, breathing, feeling the pale light on your face, feeling the impossible miracle of having lived through the night. You start to move. Slowly. Carefully. Your body is stiff. Your muscles are cramped from hours of being curled in the fetal position. Your joints are sore. Everything hurts. But you're alive, and alive people can hurt, and you've never been more grateful for pain. You dismantle your cave. You pull down the sleeping bag curtain. You fold the tarp. You organize your nest, stacking the layers of cardboard and fabric. You're not sure why you're doing this. Force of habit, maybe. Or just something to do, some way to occupy your mind and hands. You reach for the door handle and push. The door doesn't budge. It's frozen shut, ice sealing it against the frame. You push harder, using your shoulder, putting your weight into it. Something cracks, then gives. The door swings open. Cold air rushes in, sharp and brutal and shocking. But it's different from last night's cold. It's fresh, clean. The storm has passed, the snow has stopped, and the sky above is pale blue, clear and cold and achingly beautiful. You step out of the car on shaky legs. Your muscles don't want to obey at first. Your knees buckle slightly, but you steady yourself against the car frame and stand. Fully stand for the first time in 10 hours. The world is white. Snow covers everything. The road, the hills, the other cars scattered along the highway, dark shapes half buried in drifts. The storm has painted everything the same color, a uniform white broken only by the dark line of the road and the occasional shape of a vehicle or tree. You stand there for a moment, just breathing. The air is cold, so cold it burns your lungs, but it's fresh and clean and alive. You breathe deeply, filling your lungs, feeling your chest expand, feeling oxygen flood your system. You survived. You look back at the car. It looks smaller now, less like a shelter and more like a tomb. The windows are completely frosted over. The tarp is still visible through one window, dark blue against white frost. The whole vehicle is covered in a thin layer of snow and ice. This fragile metal box, filled with trash and improvisation and stubborn refusal, kept you alive through the night. You feel a strange affection for it, this broken machine that became your shelter. You stretch, you move. You flex your fingers and stamp your feet, trying to get circulation back. Your toes hurt, your fingers burn. The sensation is returning to your extremities and it's painful, but it's good pain. It means you still have feeling. It means nothing froze. It means you're going to be okay. You can walk now. The sun is rising higher, a pale disk barely visible through high clouds. The temperature is climbing. It's still well below freezing, maybe 20 degrees, but compared to last night it feels almost warm. And you're stronger than you were last night. You've rested. You've conserved energy. You can make it. You look down the highway. In the distance, maybe 5 miles, maybe less, you can see shapes on the horizon. Buildings. A town. Smoke rising from chimneys, meaning fires, meaning people, meaning warmth and safety and survival. You have water, or what's left of it. You have layers, you have the knowledge you've gained through the night. And you have strength, the will to continue. You close the car door gently, almost reverently. Then you turn toward the town and start walking. The snow crunches under your feet. The wind is still cold, but it's not the savage wind of last night. It's just wind, weather, something you can endure. You walk toward the light, toward warmth, toward home. Chapter 19, Lessons from the Old World. As you walk, placing one foot in front of the other in the snow, you think about the people who came before you, the ones who survived worse, the ones who lived in conditions like this, not for one night, but for months, for entire winters, for lifetimes. The Arctic explorers, Nansen, Shackleton, Amundsen, men who spent years in the ice, whose ships were crushed by glaciers, who sledded across endless white wastes with nothing but canvas tents and wool clothing and the will to survive. They learned through brutal experience what you learned last night. That heat is precious. That insulation is everything. That stillness is survival. They knew about layering. They wore wool and fur and leather, creating trap after trap for air, building barriers against the cold. They knew about moisture management. They dried their socks and mittens every day, holding them against their chests, using body heat to drive away dampness. They knew that wet meant death. The Inuit, the peoples who have lived in the Arctic for thousands of years, who raised children and built communities in temperatures that would kill unprepared people in hours. They built igloos from nothing but snow, using the insulating properties of frozen water to create warm spaces. They wore layered furs with the hair facing both in and out, creating pockets of trapped air. They understood thermodynamics before anyone wrote it down in a textbook. The pioneers who crossed the Great Plains in winter, the settlers who endured blizzards in sod houses with no insulation and fires that burned out in the night, they learned to huddle, to share blankets, to pile hay and buffalo chips around the walls for insulation. They learned that survival was not about comfort, but about doing what needed to be done. The soldiers, the Wehrmacht freezing on the Eastern Front, the American troops in the Battle of the Bulge, the Chinese and North Koreans in the mountains of Korea, men fighting wars in temperatures that were their own form of warfare. They learned about frostbite and trench foot, about the importance of dry socks, about keeping moving, staying alert, watching each other for signs of hypothermia. They all knew the same truths you discovered last night. The cold is not malicious. It's not personal, it's just physics. Heat flows from hot to cold. Always, inevitably. Your job is to slow that flow, to build barriers, to trap air, to reflect radiation, to stop the bleeding. You learned that fire is optional. Nice if you have it, but not essential. Your body is already a fire. A furnace burning glucose and fat, generating 98 watts of heat constantly. You don't need to make more heat. You need to keep the heat you have. You learned that modern technology is fragile. Your car died. Your phone died. Everything electronic and complex failed in an instant. But your body didn't fail. Your mind didn't fail. Your will to survive didn't fail. And simple things, primitive things, cardboard and fabric and plastic, Those kept working. Those kept you alive. You learned that survival is not about luck, it's about knowledge, about understanding heat transfer and physiology and the limits of human endurance. It's about making small, smart decisions and stacking them on top of each other until they add up to life. You learned that the human body is both stronger and more fragile than you thought. Fragile because we're so sensitive to temperature, so dependent on maintaining that narrow range around 98.6 degrees. But strong because we can endure, we can think, we can adapt, we can survive conditions that would kill most animals. You walk on, the sun climbs higher, the town draws closer. You can see individual buildings now, a gas station, a diner, houses with smoke rising from chimneys. You're going to make it, not because you were lucky, but because you understood, because you fought, because you refused to give up. And that knowledge, that understanding, will stay with you forever. You'll never take warmth for granted again. You'll never dismiss the cold as a mere inconvenience. You've seen what it can do, you've felt its power, and you've learned how to fight it. That's worth something. That's worth everything. Chapter 20. What the cold teaches about being alive. You reach the town by mid-morning. The sun is fully up now, bright and cold in the pale winter sky. People are outside, shoveling snow, starting generators, trying to figure out what happened. The power is still out. The phones are still dead. But there's activity. There's life. There's warmth. You walk down the main street, past the gas station, past the closed convenience store, past houses where you can see smoke rising from wood stoves and fireplaces. You're limping slightly. Your feet hurt. Your whole body hurts. But you're walking. You're alive. Someone sees you. An older man, shoveling his driveway. He stops and stares, taking in your appearance. You must look terrible. Frost on your eyebrows. Your clothes rumpled and strange with all the improvised layers. The towel still wrapped around your neck like a scarf. "You all right?" he calls out. "Car died," you say. Your voice is rough, barely recognizable. On the highway, spent the night. His expression changes. Understanding, concern. "Jesus, come on, come inside. Get warm." You follow him into his house. It's not warm, not really, maybe 50 degrees inside. But compared to the car, compared to last night, it feels like a sauna. There's a fire in the fireplace. A real fire. Flames and heat and the smell of burning wood. You sit near the fire and just stare at it. At the dancing flames. At the heat radiating from the hearth. Someone, the man's wife maybe, brings you a blanket. Brings you water. Asks if you're hurt, if you need a doctor. "I'm okay," you say, and you realize it's true. You're exhausted. You're sore. But you're okay. Nothing frostbitten. Nothing permanent. You survived. Later, you'll learn that it was a solar storm. A massive, coronal mass ejection that struck Earth's magnetic field and sent an electromagnetic pulse through the atmosphere. It knocked out power across half the state, fried electronics, killed cars and phones and computers. It will be days before the grid comes back up, weeks before everything returns to normal. But you don't care about that right now. Right now, you care about warmth, about the fire in front of you, about the water in your hands, about the simple, impossible miracle of being alive. You sit there, drinking water, eating the soup someone made on a camp stove, feeling sensation slowly return to your extremities. And you think about the cold, about what it taught you. It taught you that life is fragile, that the line between comfortable and dead is thinner than anyone wants to believe, that we live in a narrow band of temperature, a razor's edge, where water is liquid and enzymes work and hearts beat. Step outside that band, and the universe doesn't care. Physics doesn't care. The cold will kill you with the same indifference as a stone falling or water flowing downhill. But the cold also taught you that you're stronger than you thought, that you can endure, that you can think and plan and adapt and survive, that you carry within you everything you need to fight back against the void. It taught you about priorities, about what matters and what doesn't. Last week, you might have worried about your phone, about missing messages, about being disconnected. But last night, none of that mattered. Only warmth mattered, only survival. And that clarity, that brutal simplicity, was almost liberating. It taught you about physics, about heat transfer and insulation and the properties of materials, about how cardboard and plastic and fabric can become tools of survival, about how understanding the world, really understanding it at a fundamental level, can save your life. It taught you about yourself, about your limits and your capabilities, about how long you can endure discomfort, about how your mind works under stress, about what you're willing to do to survive, and perhaps most importantly, it taught you gratitude. You'll never take warmth for granted again. Never dismiss a heated room or a hot shower or a warm bed as ordinary, because you know now, in your bones, in your cells, what it means to be cold. Really cold, dangerously cold, and you know what it means to find warmth again. You finish your soup, you wrap yourself tighter in the blanket. You stare into the fire and feel its heat on your face. You survived because you respected the cold. Because you didn't fight it with brute force. Because you used intelligence and physics and the stubborn human refusal to die. And now, sitting in this warm room, drinking this soup, you carry that knowledge with you. You know what you're capable of. You know that if the world goes dark again, if the cold comes back, you'll be ready. Because you've already survived the longest night. You've already faced the cold and won. And if you can survive that, you can survive anything. You close your eyes. You feel the warmth of the fire. You feel the weight of the blanket. You feel alive. And for now, for this moment, that's enough. You finish your soup. The woman who gave it to you, the man's wife, checks on you again. Asks your name, where you're from, who to call when the phones come back up. You answer slowly, still processing, still coming back to the world. Other people start arriving at the house. Neighbors. Other stranded travelers who found their way to town. Everyone has a story. Everyone survived in their own way. Some were closer to town and walked in early. Some stayed in their cars like you but had more supplies. Some got lucky and found an abandoned cabin or barn. But you all survived, and there's a bond in that, a shared understanding. You look at each other and you know what last night was like. You know the fear and the cold and the terrible isolation. The man with the fireplace, his name is Robert, organizes the group. He sends someone to check on elderly neighbors. He coordinates sharing resources: food, water, firewood. The community pulls together in that way humans do when everything else fails. You help where you can. You're still weak, still recovering, but you can carry firewood. You can check on people. You can share your story, the techniques you used, the improvised insulation, the microclimate in your car. Maybe your knowledge will help someone else. The day passes. The sun tracks across the sky. The temperature rises to maybe 30 degrees, then starts dropping again as evening approaches. But tonight will be different. Tonight you'll be in a house with a fire, with other people, with warmth and safety. As night falls, you sit by the fire again and watch the flames. You think about your car, still out there on the highway, buried in the snow, a monument to your survival. You'll go back for it eventually, when the roads are cleared, when the power is back on. You'll probably have to replace everything electronic, the computer, the wiring. But the frame is good, the structure is sound, it can be repaired, just like you. You're tired, more tired than you've ever been. Your body is still recovering from the ordeal, still burning through whatever reserves it has left. But you're safe, you're warm, you're alive. Robert sits down next to you. "Hell of a night," he says quietly. "Yeah," you agree. "What kept you going? Out there in your car? What made you keep fighting?" You think about that. "I don't know," you say slowly. I refused to give up. I kept thinking there had to be a way, some technique, some trick, some way to survive. And I kept trying things until I found what worked." Robert nods. That's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't. Not luck, not equipment, just that refusal to quit. You sit in silence for a while, watching the fire. Then you speak again. "I keep thinking about how close it was. How easy it would have been to make one wrong decision and not make it. If I'd tried to walk instead of staying with the car, if I hadn't managed my moisture, if I'd given up and just gone to sleep. But you didn't," Robert says. "You made the right calls. You survived. That's what matters." The fire crackles. Someone adds another log. The flames leap higher, casting dancing shadows on the walls. You lean back and close your eyes. Tomorrow, you'll figure out next steps. How to get home. How to contact your family. How to pick up the pieces of normal life. But tonight, you just exist. Just breathe. Just feel the warmth and the safety and the profound relief of being alive. The cold taught you about survival, but it also taught you about living, about appreciating what you have, about understanding how precious and fragile and beautiful it is to be warm, to be safe, to be alive. You survived the night, but more than that, you learned something fundamental about yourself and about the world, and that knowledge will stay with you forever. The fire burns, the night passes, and you sleep, finally, deeply, wrapped in blankets by the hearth, surrounded by people, safe and warm and alive.